Hello. So in the last lecture we have seen black body radiation, and we have seen that what particular problem has been experienced by classical mechanics. Okay, black body is a body which can absorb all the radiations which are incident upon it, and when it is heated it will emit all the radiations in all possible frequency spectrum. Okay, and when that particular frequency spectrum is observed with the help of spectroscope, then we get the dumbbell like shape of the black body spectrum. Okay, and that particular spectrum was not able to be explained with the help of classical mechanics. Okay, there were so many problems in the classical mechanics, not in the classical mechanics actually, the assumptions on which that particular derivation has been derived. We have seen that both the Wien's law and Rayleigh-Jeans law were not able to explain the black body spectrum completely. There was a problem of ultraviolet catastrophe. Okay, and that problem arises because of the assumption on very important pillar of the classical mechanics, that is law of equipartition of energy. According to the law of equipartition of energy, every particle, the energy is shared equally among all degrees of freedom, and the energy per degree of freedom is 1/2 into k into t. Okay, and because of this assumption the energy is a continuous phenomena, and because of that particular black body spectrum could not be explained. Okay, and we have seen that how then Planck came and he gave the another formula, just a mathematical treatment, so that the spectrum could be possibly explained, and he successfully explained the spectrum by assuming that energy is not the continuous phenomena but rather it is a quantized phenomena, and every quantum has an amount of energy which is equal to h into nu. Okay, this is the quantum of energy, and energy can be absorbed and emitted only in these quantum of energies. Okay, so if you assume like this, then that particular spectrum is obviously explained, and the problem of ultraviolet catastrophe has been removed. Okay, now this is the problem of black body radiation is the first breakthrough to the classical mechanics, we can say, the first problem which raised a serious questions on the assumptions of the classical mechanics. Now after this particular problem there were so many problems were revealed, and every problem, every phenomena was questioning the basic assumptions of the classical mechanics. So the next serious problem or the next important phenomena which revealed the basic failure in the classical mechanics is the photoelectric effect. Okay, so actually from the 12th standard itself we have been learning this photoelectric effect. So what is photoelectric effect actually? So we know that if we shine the piece of metal, okay, if we shine a piece of metal by ultraviolet radiation, suppose that this is a piece of metal, okay, and if you shine this piece of metal through a ultraviolet radiation, then what will happen? Since this is a metal, there are so many free electrons inside it, and the electron will absorb the radiations incident upon it, and they will liberate it from the metal surface. Okay, and if you apply the potential at the other electrode, positive potential at the other electrode, then what will happen? These electrons will be moving towards the another electrode. Okay, these electrons will be moving in the another electrode towards the another electrode, and there will be the current, because electrons are moving in one particular direction, there will be the current flowing in the opposite direction. So the ejection of electrons after the light is incident on the metal surface is called as a photoelectron, and when these photoelectrons move in one particular direction under the action of applied field, okay, the current will be generated, and this generated current is called as a photoelectric current, or simply a photocurrent. Okay, so this particular phenomena is called as a photoelectric effect. Okay, this particular phenomena is called as a photoelectric effect, and this is a experimental arrangement of the photoelectric effect. We know that this Henry Hertz where he was actually generating the electrical sparks between the two metal surfaces, two metal electrodes. Okay, and while doing this particular experiment, he observed that whenever the ultraviolet light was falling on the metal surface, the spark was increased. Okay, the spark was increased. It means that additional electrons must be ejected from that particular metal surface. So he observed this particular phenomena very carefully. Okay, and then he realized that this is a very different phenomena, and this different phenomena he has named it as a photoelectric effect. Okay, so this is the experimental arrangement of the photoelectric effect. It consists of the evacuated, this is a glass tube. Actually it is not a glass tube, actually it is a quartz tube. This particular tube is made with the help of quartz. Okay, and this is a evacuated quartz tube because it should not have any gas molecules inside it, so that the moving electron should not collide on the gas molecule. Okay, so the pressure of this particular tube is very low. Okay, this is the metal plate B. B is the metal plate on which we are inciding the light. The light will fall onto this metal surface, and the electrons will be emitted by this metal surface. Okay, and this is the another electrode. Okay, C, and on this electrode we are applying actually here it should be positive potential and here it should be negative potential. There is slight mistake in this particular diagram. So here it should be negative potential on the electrode B, because if you apply positive potential over here, the electron will be sticking to this particular metal surface. Okay, so here it should be at this particular side will be at negative potential, and this particular side will be at positive potential. Okay, and since the electrons are the negatively charged particle, they will be accelerated towards the positive potential. Okay, and there will be the current flowing from C to B. Electron will move from B to C, and current will be flowing from C to B. Okay, and this V indicates the potential difference between these two electrodes, and this is the rheostat through which we can change the applied voltage. Okay, and whatever current will be flowing through this particular wire, this current will be measured with the help of this ammeter. Okay, current will be measured with this ammeter. So this experimental diagram you already know very well. Okay, so what is the photoelectric effect then? When an electromagnetic radiation of suitable frequency is incident on the clean metal surface, electrons are emitted from it. This particular phenomena is called as photoelectric effect, and the emitted electrons are called as a photoelectrons. Now there is an important definition, that is threshold frequency. Okay, so what could be the meaning of threshold frequency? So for a given photosensitive material, there is a certain minimum frequency called as a threshold frequency nu 0. It is denoted by nu 0 of the incident radiation, such that if the frequency of the incident radiation is less than nu 0, no photoelectrons are emitted. Okay, if the frequency is less than nu 0, then no photoelectrons are emitted. Actually, what is photoelectric effect? Just now we have told that there is a metal surface and we are allowing light to fall on this particular metal surface. Now this light will be of different frequencies. Okay, so you will find that if you incident or if you allow to fall light of any frequency, the photoelectrons will not be generated. You need to have a particular frequency. Above that particular frequency, if you incident the light, then only photoelectrons will be emitted, and if you incident the light below that particular frequency, then no photoelectrons will be emitted, and there will be no photoelectric current and no photoelectric effect will be observed. So the minimum frequency of incident light which must fall onto the metal surface so that the electrons are just ejected by the metal surface is called as threshold frequency. So this is a simple definition. Now, so we know that this is the experimental arrangement and there are some definitions. Okay, now we will see one by one how the results are obtained out of this photoelectric effect. Okay, so we will see that what is the effect of intensity of radiation. Okay, we will see what is the effect of potential difference that has been applied between the two electrodes. we will see what is the effect of frequency of the incident radiation that is falling onto the metallic surface. Okay, so we shall see all this, and we shall also see what are the results obtained out of these observations. Okay, remember that till now we have not introduced the concept of photons. Okay, we will see this photoelectric effect initially with respect to the classical mechanics only. And according to the classical mechanics, light is nothing but the electromagnetic radiation, which consists of electric field as well as the magnetic field. Okay, and they are oscillating with respect to time. We know that they are always perpendicular to each other, and they will travel in a direction which is perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Okay, so this electromagnetic radiation are nothing but the transverse waves that we have already seen. So we have to look this photoelectric effect in this particular context. Okay, now let us see the first experimental observation, that is effect of intensity of incident radiation on the photocurrent. Okay, if you change the intensity of incident radiation, what is its effect on the photocurrent that we are observing, that we have to see. Okay, so this is the graph. Okay, on the x-axis there is the intensity of light, and on the y-axis there is a photocurrent or photoelectric current. So you see that if the intensity is 0, if the intensity of light is 0, so no photoelectric current will be there. The photoelectric current is also 0. As you increase the intensity, the photoelectric current also increases. Okay, so actually the photoelectric current increases linearly, because this is the linear graph. The photoelectric current increases linearly with the increase in the intensity of light. So as you increase the intensity of light, the photoelectric current also increases. So this is one of the observation. Okay, now second observation is the effect of retarding potential on the photoelectric current. Okay, the effect of retarding potential on the photoelectric current. So if you see this particular diagram, so there is a potential difference between these two electrodes, between the electrodes B and C. Okay, there is a potential difference. So what is the effect of this potential difference? Okay, that we have to see. Now you can easily understand this particularly. Suppose that the potential difference between these two electrodes is 0. It means that we have not applied any potential difference, and we are allowing light to fall onto this metallic surface. What will happen? It is understandable that whenever we are allowing light to fall onto the metallic surface, light consists of energy. It will have some kind of energy. That energy is interacting with the electrons which are on the outermost surface of the metal. So these electrons will absorb the energy from the light, right? And what will happen then? Some of the energy will be required for this electron. As you know that even if it is a metallic surface, the electrons are loosely bound with the parent atom. Electrons are loosely bound with the parent atom. Okay, so it will have some ionization potential. It will have some ionization energy. So the light consists of energy, and part of that particular energy will be utilized by the electron in overcoming this ionization potential. So part of this energy of the light will be utilized by the electrons in overcoming this ionization potential, and whatever remaining part of energy is there with the electron, with this energy it will move in any direction. Means initially some of the energy will be utilized by the electron in overcoming the force of attraction between the electron and the nucleus of that particular metallic surface. Once this electron is liberated from this force of attraction, it is a free particle now, and if it has some energy from that particular light, then with this energy it will be moving. So remaining energy of the light will appear as a kinetic energy of the electron. Remember that I am assuming that I have not applied any potential difference between the electrode B and electrode C. Okay, now if I apply some potential difference, suppose that on the electrode C there is a positive potential, then what will happen? With this particular electron, with this particular force of attraction, because this electrode C is at now positive potential, so this electrode will now attract the electron. Okay, so this electron will be directed along this particular electrode. This electron will be directed along this particular electrode. Okay, and there will be the photoelectric current, and there will be the photoelectric current. Now again assume that the potential difference between these two electrodes is 0, and whatever light we are allowing to fall, that light has an energy which is only equal to the energy which is required by the electron in overcoming this force of attraction between the electron and the positive nucleus of this particular metallic surface. So whatever amount of energy the light is supplying to this electron, this energy is only sufficient for the electron to be just get liberated from the parent atom. So once it is, means whatever energy has been absorbed from the light by the electron, the whole of this energy has been utilized in overcoming this force of attraction, and therefore once this electron is ejected from this metallic surface, it is now free particle, but it will not have any kind of energy. It will not have any kind of energy. So the kinetic energy of the electron after liberation from this metallic surface is 0, and therefore the electron will appear as a stationary then. Okay, electron will appear as a stationary then. It will not move anywhere because it is not having any kind of kinetic energy. Now there comes the role of this potential difference. If the kinetic energy of the electron, the ejected electron is 0, and if the potential difference between these two electrodes is also 0, the electron will remain there. Okay, it will not move anywhere, and there will not be any photoelectric current. Okay, so in order to have the photoelectric current, you must apply some potential. You must apply some potential on the electrode C, positive potential, so that electron should be attracted towards this positive potential, and there should be the photoelectric current. Now we are observing the effect of this positive potential. What will be the effect of this positive potential on the photoelectric current? So what do you expect? Suppose that you have the sufficient amount of energy with the light. Okay, that light is falling onto the metallic surface. Part of this energy will be absorbed by the electron, and it will be liberated out of this metallic surface, and whatever remaining part will be there of energy, those energy will appear as a kinetic energy of the electron, and electron will try to move in random direction. Now if you apply some voltage, then what will happen? These electrons will be directed towards the electrode C, and there will be the current, directed current, photoelectric current. Okay, now if you increase the voltage, between B and C, what will happen? This electrode will now quickly attract the electrons. Okay, now suppose after absorbing the light energy, suppose that some 100 electrons are generated at this particular place. Okay, some 100 electrons are generated at this particular place. Now if you start increasing the potential on the electrode C starting from 0, what will happen? Some number of electrons will be moving. Okay, initially 5 electrons will move, 10 electrons will move, 15 electrons will move. They will take some time for crossing this particular gap. Okay, and there will be some photoelectric current. Okay, so when 5 electrons come, some current will be there, so current starts increasing. 10 electrons will come, some current will be there will be current will start increasing. 15 electrons will come, current will start increasing. As you now increase the potential between the electrode B and C, what will happen? The potential is enough so that 100 electrons have been generated here, and all the 100 electrons are collected at this collector electrode C. Then what will happen? After the 100 electrons are collected, there will be some sufficient amount of current will increase, no doubt. Okay, but after that there is no electrons in this particular gap, so the current will cease. Okay, the current will cease, current will be constant. Okay, no electrons means what? 100 electrons will be generated always. Okay, because light is continuously falling. No, light is continuously falling. On each absorption there will be the 100 electrons generated, and this collector is collecting all of the electrons because the voltage is sufficiently large. Therefore this collector electrodes is collecting all of the electrons. So current will increase up to some level. Okay, up to some maximum level, and after that not more than 100 electrons will be collected by this collector, and therefore current will be constant. So this particular fact is observed and is represented in this particular graph. So in this particular graph, on the y-axis there is a photo current. Okay, and on the x-axis there is positive axis on the right hand side, and there is a negative x-axis on the left hand side. from the 0 onto the right hand side there is a positive axis and there is collector plate potential. Okay, this is called as a collector plate potential, and whatever negative potential we are applying, that potential is called as a retarding potential. But remember that all these voltages which are mentioned along the x-axis, these are the voltages that has been applied between the two electrodes. The one is the anode and another is the cathode, collector and the this metallic plate. Okay, so you must remember that. So just forget about this part which is on the left hand side of the 0. Okay, so what will so what you can understand with this particular graph, you have to forget about this part. Okay, for now. So you see, whenever the collector plate potential is 0, then also you are getting see, even if the collector potential is 0 over here, then also you are getting some photoelectric current. Why you are getting some photoelectric current? Because the energy of the incident radiation is sufficiently high so that some part of the energy is utilized to overcome the potential barrier, initial potential barrier between the electron and the positive charge nucleus of the metallic surface, and remaining energy is appearing as a kinetic energy of the electron. And with that sufficient kinetic energy, this electron is able to move towards the cathode plate, and there will be some photoelectric current. So you are getting some photoelectric current. This I1, I2 and I3, these are the different intensities of the light. Okay, and here it is given that I3 is greater than I2 and I2 is greater than I1. So we are increasing the intensity also, but for one particular graph the intensity is constant. Intensity is I1. Okay, so even if the collector potential is 0, then also you are getting some sufficient amount of photoelectric current. Now you start increasing the collector potential. What will happen? The number of electrons collected by the collector will be increased, and there will be the increase in the photoelectric current. There will be the increase in the photoelectric current. But after the photoelectric current, after the collector potential is increased to a sufficiently large value, then what will happen? All the electrons which are generated by the metallic surface, these are collected by the collector, and you will get the constant current. You will get the constant current. So this is the nature of graph for variation of the collector potential. Variation of the collector potential at constant intensity. Now you change the polarity. You change the polarity means what? On the collector you apply negative potential, and on the anode you apply the positive potential. What will happen? So if you change the polarity, then electron will not move towards the collector, because on the collector there is a negative potential. So the current will start decreasing. Current will start decreasing. But why not it is becoming 0 instantly? Okay, if you reverse the potential, why not this current become 0 instantaneously? Why? Because even if you apply a negative polarity, even if you change the potential of the, means initially it is the collector electrode was at positive potential, now you started applying somewhat negative potential starting from 0, so somewhat negative, then more negative, etc. So even if you started applying negative potential over the collector, electron was having sufficient kinetic energy. So with that particular kinetic energy, electrons manage to somehow reach the collector, even if it is at negative potential, and therefore you will be getting some current. But you see, if you apply negative potential, the current is actually decreasing, but not becoming instantaneously 0, slightly decreasing. Okay, now you again increase the reverse potential, then the current will again decrease, because it will try to repel the electron, but the electrons still are having some kind of kinetic energy, and with this kinetic energy it is able to cross the barrier. Okay, now again you decrease the potential, the photoelectric current will again decrease. It means some of the electron will try to reach the collector. Now if you decrease the potential to a sufficiently large value, then you will see that the complete photoelectric current has become 0. The complete photoelectric current has become 0. This negative potential at which the photoelectric current is 0 is called as stopping potential. Okay, now if you increase the intensity and repeat this particular experiment again, what you will find? You will find a similar type of graph on the right hand side. Okay, only the thing is that since I2 is greater than I1, the electron will be having large amount of kinetic energy, and therefore you will get the large photocurrent initially. Okay, you will get large photocurrent initially, and as you increase the collector plate voltage, again that current will be increasing, and after some time it will be constant, because whatever number of electrons have been generated, all those electrons have been collected by the collector. Okay, if you again increase the intensity, your photoelectric current is increased initially, and it will again increase with the collector plate potential, but after some time it will be constant only. But you see, if you apply the negative potential, the stopping potential for all intensities will be same. The stopping potential for all the intensities will be same. Remember here that the metal surface is same here. We have used only a single metallic surface, but with different intensities of light. So even if you use different intensities of light, the stopping potential for all these lights will be same. It means that stopping potential is a property of metal, not of the light. Okay, and what is the definition we can make out of this particular observation? Actually, what is stopping potential? So initially also we have seen that when we discuss that particular experiment, that whatever intensity of light is there, or whatever energy of light is there, part of that energy is used by the electron in overcoming the force of attraction between positive charged nucleus and negatively charged electron. Okay, and remaining part will appear as a kinetic energy of the electron. Now for a negative potential, this photoelectric current is becoming zero. It means that we have made the kinetic energy of the electron zero. So actually the amount of negative potential which we are applying, or this stopping potential is nothing but just a minute. Okay, I will take this later on. Okay, so this particular stopping potential is nothing but the kinetic energy of the electron, because see, up to this particular means whenever we are not applying the stopping potential, electron was having some kinetic energy, and with that kinetic energy electron was able to reach the collector. Now we are applying a negative potential. And with this negative potential we have made the kinetic energy equal to 0, so that the electron was not able to reach the collector. Now this suggests that this particular stopping potential is equivalent to the kinetic energy of the electron. Initially the electron was having some kinetic energy, and because of that it was able to reach the collector, but now we have applied the stopping potential and we have made the kinetic energy equal to 0. So this stopping potential is nothing but the kinetic energy of the electron, and this has been shown by this particular formula. This is kinetic energy maximum. Maximum kinetic energy of the electron is nothing but the stopping potential, and formula for stopping potential is E into V0. See, V0 is only the stopping voltage, stopping potential. Okay, right, this is the stopping potential V0, and since we want to find out the energy, then we have to multiply it by electron, E into V. We know that E into V is nothing but the energy of the electron. So energy of the electron will be given by E into V0, and it will be equal to the kinetic energy of the electron, and we know that kinetic energy is nothing but half mv square. Since kinetic energy maximum is discussed here, the velocity maximum also we have to take. So half mv square is equal to E times V0. Okay, so this is the second observation of the photoelectric effect. Now what is the effect of frequency of the incident radiation on the stopping potential? So again let us see the graph. On the y-axis there is a photoelectric current, and on the x-axis there is a retarding potential or collector plate potential. Okay, positive voltages are called as a collector plate potential and negative voltages are called as a retarding potential. But remember, these are the potential which has been applied between the anode A and anode B. Okay, so what will happen? So if you incident a particular frequency nu1, if you incident a light of particular frequency nu1, again don't look at the graph which is on the left hand side of the 0 or negative x-axis for now. Okay, just look at the graph in the first quadrant. Okay, so in the first quadrant what you will see, for a particular frequency nu1, okay, if that particular frequency is sufficient so that electrons is ejected from the metallic surface, then that electron will have some kinetic energy and it will move towards the cathode and you will get some photoelectric current. So even if the collector plate potential is 0, then also you will be getting some photoelectric current. Okay, because electron was having some kind of kinetic energy, because of this only electron was able to reach the collector. Okay, and you will have some photoelectric current. Now if you again increase the potential, then what will happen? The current will start increasing, and again after that it will be constant. This constant current is called as the saturation current, because no more current is there, so this particular current is called as a saturation current. Okay, now if you again increase the frequency, and you repeat this particular experiment, then what will happen? Since the nu2 is greater than nu1, then what will happen? Since the frequency is more, you will be getting more current initially, but if you continue to increase the potential, then that potential will be constant. Okay, and you will get the current will be constant, and that current is called as a saturation current. Okay, so as you increase the frequency, you are getting three types of curve, and for each curve the initial current is more for the same potential. And what about negative potential? You see, if the frequency is lower, then you will have less stopping potential. You will need less potential to stop the electron to move towards the cathode. If you increase the potential, if you increase the frequency, the stopping potential is again more. If you again increase the frequency, the stopping potential is again more. So more the frequency you incident on the metallic surface, more stopping potential is required. So actually what we can say, stopping potential is directly proportional to the frequency, incident frequency. Okay, so stopping potential is the property of the frequency also, right? So if you change the frequency, you have to see it is independent of intensity. Stopping potential is independent of intensity, but it depends on the frequency. If you change the frequency will also the stopping potential will also change. Okay, so these are the experimental observations. Again, there is one more graph, maximum photoelectron kinetic energy versus frequency of the incident radiation. Means what is the relationship between the kinetic energy and the frequency of incident radiation. So from this graph also it is very obvious. This is the stopping potential, because we know that stopping potential is equivalent to the kinetic energy. So if we want the comparison between kinetic energy, so we can also talk about stopping potential. Okay, because stopping potential is nothing but the kinetic energy. So this is the stopping potential or kinetic energy, and this is the frequency of incident radiation. So from this graph you can see that this graph is linear graph. Okay, this is one metal surface, this is another metal surface. So if you use particular metal, then this is the nu0, because below this particular frequency there will be no photoelectric current. Okay, so if the frequency is less than nu0, then there will be no photoelectric current, right? And if you increase the frequency from nu0, okay, as you increase the frequency, the stopping potential is also increased, or the kinetic energy is also increased. Just now we have discussed this. If you increase the frequency, the stopping potential is going to increase. It means that the kinetic energy is also going to increase. Means if you incident light with higher and higher frequency, you will get the electrons with higher and higher kinetic energy actually. Okay, the kinetic energy of the electron will be increased. Okay, and you will get large amount of photoelectric current. If you have another metallic surface, then also you will get the same kind of graph. Okay, The graph that tells us that stopping potential or kinetic energy is directly proportional to the frequency of incident radiation. Now what are the implications? Okay, we have seen all these observations that if you increase the intensity, the photoelectric current increases. Okay, if you increase the frequency, then also photoelectric current increases. There is a direct relationship between the frequency and kinetic energy. There is direct relationship between frequency and the stopping potential. Okay, and for a particular metal, the stopping potential is unique. For a particular metal, the stopping potential is unique for a particular frequency. Okay, now what are the implications? The first implication is the maximum kinetic energy of the photoelectrons varies linearly with the frequency of incident radiation, but is independent of the intensity. See, the kinetic energy of the electron is directly proportional to the frequency. It is turning out that means after observing all these observations, we can say that the kinetic energy is a function of now frequency, and it is independent of the intensity. Means even if you change the intensity, you will not be getting any change in the you will not be getting any particular observable effect. Okay, but it is directly proportional to the frequency. Okay, even if you use the light of different intensity, you see the one type of graph here, even if you change the intensity, the stopping potential is same. But if you change the frequency, the stopping potential is different. It means that, and we know that stopping potential is a function of kinetic energy. So what we can say, the kinetic energy of the electron is independent of the intensity, but it depends on the kinetic energy. This is one of the, it depends on the frequency of the incident radiation. So this is one of the implication of these observations. Okay, and the second implication is, for a frequency nu of the incident radiation, for a frequency nu, means if you use the frequency of incident radiation which is lower than cutoff frequency nu 0, we will not get any photoelectric emission. Okay, even if the intensity is very large. So initially what we observed, that the photoelectric current is linearly increases with intensity. If you increase the intensity, the photoelectric current also increases, but it is found that you can have any amount of intensity of incident radiation, but if the frequency of incident radiation is less than a particular frequency which is called as a cutoff frequency, you will not get any kind of photoelectrons, or you will not get any kind of photoelectric current. This is again one of the very serious implications out of these observations. So these two implications are very important, which raise serious concern about classical physics again. Classical physics was not able to explain this. ओके, काय सिरियस इम्प्लिकेशन्स आहे हे एकदा बघूया आपण, की हे जे सगळं आपण बघितलं फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्टचे एक्सपेरिमेंटल अरेंजमेंट आणि जे काही एक्सपेरिमेंटल ऑब्झर्वेशन्स आपण बघितले, याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला असं दिसते की कायनेटिक एनर्जी जे असते ते इंटेन्सिटीवर डायरेक्टली प्रपोर्शनल नाही आहे. इंटेन्सिटी कशी असू द्या, कायनेटिक एनर्जी त्याची फिक्सच राहते. ठीक आहे, कायनेटिक एनर्जी जी बदलते ती कशामुळे बदलून राहिली आहे इथे, फ्रिक्वेन्सीमुळे. म्हणजे कायनेटिक एनर्जी कशावर डिपेंडंट आहे असं दिसतं ह्या एक्सपेरिमेंटल ऑब्झर्वेशनमधनं, फ्रिक्वेन्सीवर डिपेंडंट आहे, इंटेन्सिटीवर डिपेंडंट नाही. तर हा एक खूप मोठा सिरियस प्रॉब्लेम आहे क्लासिकल फिजिक्ससोबत. दुसरा प्रॉब्लेम हा आहे की इंटेन्सिटी कितीही असू द्या, पण जर इन्सिडंट केलेल्या लाईटची फ्रिक्वेन्सी जर एका पर्टिक्युलर फ्रिक्वेन्सीपेक्षा जर कमी असेल, तर मग तुम्हाला कोणताही फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट मिळत नाही. ठीक आहे, हे दोन सिरियस प्रॉब्लेम्स आहेत. का बरं सिरियस प्रॉब्लेम्स आहेत, एवढं काय आहे याच्यामध्ये? तर याच्यामध्ये असं आहे की क्लासिकल फिजिक्सनुसार लाईट काय आहे, एक प्रकारे इलेक्ट्रोमॅग्नेटिक वेव्ह आहे, एक प्रकारे वेव्ह आहे. ठीक आहे, आणि वेव्हची जी एनर्जी असते, वेव्ह आहे म्हणजे मूव्हिंग आहे, मग त्याच्यामध्ये आपण कायनेटिक एनर्जीच म्हणू. वेव्हची जी एनर्जी असते ती नेहमी इंटेन्सिटीला प्रपोर्शनल असते. And intensity is nothing but intensity is equal to mod of a square. Intensity is directly proportional to the amplitude square. म्हणजे इलेक्ट्रोमॅग्नेटिक वेव्हमध्ये जे इलेक्ट्रिक व्हेक्टर आहे, मॅग्नेटिक व्हेक्टर आहे, त्यांचा जो काही ॲम्प्लिट्यूड आहे, त्या ॲम्प्लिट्यूडचा जर आपण स्क्वेअर केला तर आपल्याला इंटेन्सिटी मिळते. आणि इंटेन्सिटी पर युनिट एरिया इज नथिंग बट द एनर्जी. ठीक आहे, इंटेन्सिटी म्हणजे काय, एनर्जी पर युनिट एरिया. म्हणजे इंटेन्सिटी काय झाली, एनर्जी इंटू एरिया, किंवा एनर्जी काय झालं, इंटेन्सिटी इंटू एरिया. म्हणजे एनर्जी जर काढायची असेल क्लासिकली तर आपल्याला इंटेन्सिटी हवीच आहे. आणि इंटेन्सिटी कशावर प्रपोर्शनल असते, नेहमी ॲम्प्लिट्यूडवर म्हणजे प्रपोर्शनल असते. हे जे फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्टचे ऑब्झर्वेशन्स आहेत हे आपल्याला भाग पाडत आहे असं समजायला की एनर्जी तर आता इंटेन्सिटीवर प्रपोर्शनलच नाही आहे. मग हे कसं? जेव्हा की वेव्ह थेरी आपल्याला सांगते की एनर्जी ही नेहमी इंटेन्सिटीवर प्रपोर्शनल असते, फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्टचं ऑब्झर्वेशन्स असं सांगतात की इंटेन्सिटीवर नाही येऊन राहिली प्रपोर्शनल, फ्रिक्वेन्सीवर प्रपोर्शनल येऊन राहिली. तर हे काय भानगड आहे? जर फ्रिक्वेन्सी जर इंटेन्सिटीवर प्रपोर्शनलच नाही आहे तर मग पूर्णच्या पूर्ण वेव्ह थेरीच कोलॅप्स होऊन जाईल. तर ह्या पर्टिक्युलर क्लासिकल थेरीच्या किंवा वेव्ह थेरीच्या अझम्पशनमुळे फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट काही एक्सप्लेन होऊन नाही राहिला, किंवा आपण सरळ सरळ असं म्हणू शकतो की वेव्ह थेरी इज नॉट ॲबल टू एक्सप्लेन द फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट. जर आपण असं अझ्युम केलं की इंटेन्सिटी कायनेटिक एनर्जीवर डिपेंड असते आणि इंटेन्सिटी ही ॲम्प्लिट्यूडवर डिपेंड असतो, आणि ॲम्प्लिट्यूड तुम्हाला माहीत आहे पूर्णच्या पूर्ण वेव्हच्या वेव्हफ्रंटवर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट असतो ॲम्प्लिट्यूड. ठीक आहे, मग आपल्याला जर इंटेन्सिटी काढायची असेल तर त्या पूर्ण वेव्हच्या ॲम्प्लिट्यूडचा एव्हरेज काढावा लागेल. आणि असं जर आपण काढलं तर जी काही एनर्जी येते म्हणजे इंटेन्सिटी आणि ह्या ॲम्प्लिट्यूडच्या भानगडीतून त्याचा वापर करून जर आपण एनर्जी काढली तर तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की ती एनर्जी फारच कमी येते. कशापेक्षा? अशा एनर्जीपेक्षा जेवढी एनर्जी इलेक्ट्रॉनला कमीत कमी पाहिजे असते त्या मेटल सरफेसपासून बाहेर निघायला, म्हणजे जे काही आयोनायझेशन पोटेन्शियल आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा सुद्धा ही एनर्जी कमी येते इंटेन्सिटीकडून जर काढली आपण. मग जर एनर्जीच कमी येते तर मग तो कसा निघेल त्या मेटॅलिक सरफेसच्या बाहेर? तो बाहेरच निघू शकणार नाही. म्हणजे इंटेन्सिटीच्या कन्सेप्टनी जर आपण पुढे गेलो, वेव्ह थेरीच्या कन्सेप्टनी जर आपण पुढे गेलो तर असं दिसेल की इलेक्ट्रॉन तो मेटल सरफेसच्या सुद्धा बाहेर निघायला नाही पाहिजे. मग मेटल सरफेसच्या जर बाहेर निघू शकत नाही तर मग फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक करंट कसा काय दिसून राहिलेला आहे? ठीक आहे, तर ही खूप मोठी ॲनॉमली आहे वेव्ह थेरी आणि क्लासिकल फिजिक्सची. अजून जर तुम्ही कॅल्क्युलेशन्स केले तर तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की जर इंटेन्सिटी ही वेव्हफ्रंटमध्ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूट असेल आणि वेव्हफ्रंट इंटेन्सिटीनुसार जर तुम्हाला कायनेटिक एनर्जी काढायची असेल तर कमीत कमी इलेक्ट्रॉनला मेटॅलिक सरफेसच्या बाहेर निघायला कमीत कमी 2 महिने तरी लागायला पाहिजे. पण या उलट आपल्याला माहिती आहे की द इजेक्शन ऑफ फोटो इलेक्ट्रॉन मीन्स द falling of light onto the metallic surface and the ejection of photoelectron is very instantaneous process. It is instantaneous process. There is no time lag between the absorption of incident radiation and ejection of the photoelectron. So this particular anomaly is not being addressed in the classical physics. Classical physics fails completely to explain this particular observed phenomena. Okay, and then Einstein came with the new idea. Actually Planck has already given the concept of quantum energy. Einstein just used that particular concept of quantum energy. He has applied this concept of quantum energy into this photoelectric effect and was successfully able to explain the photoelectric effect completely. Okay, and there again we had already seen that black body radiation is the birthmark of the quantum mechanics, and actually with this particular photoelectric effect explanation Einstein got the Nobel Prize for this. We have already discussed this. Okay, so with this particular photoelectric effect explanation the era of quantum mechanics has started. Actually it is the Einstein who started the era of quantum mechanics, but as I have already told you that he was the biggest opponent of the quantum mechanics. He did not like the assumption or he did not like the results obtained from the quantum mechanics. Okay, so well, we shall stop today. In the next lecture we will see the failure of classical theory. Just now we have seen, but we shall discuss some of the end points of this photoelectric effect in the next lecture.